All right, welcome everybody. Today is February 13th, 2020, and this is the Kubernetes SIG architecture SIG meeting for today. And I'll share my screen. All right, we have a pretty light agenda today and some project readouts. So I will start with prod readiness. For prod readiness, we sent out a survey a couple weeks ago to ask for some data around whether people have rolled things back, what kind of problems they've had, why they've rolled things back, and some demographics around different size environments under which those things have been done. And the idea is that this survey would be sent out a couple times a year probably as we have new releases to see if we improve the quality of releases or if rollbacks are smoother. I think we missed the boat on a few questions. We probably could, as I went through it afterward, as sometimes happens, realized we didn't ask which releases people rolled back. So if we're going to try and use this for quality, we need to ask that question, or we're not going to know which whether fewer or more people have had to roll something back. Again, it's also a very self-selected crowd. So that also limits the utility, but nonetheless, we got close to 80 responses from different size operators, some pretty large, a couple pretty large, most of them in the small to medium size. But we'll be putting together, I don't want to show the results here because some of them have emails. We got about 30 of the people who said they were willing to have a one-on-one conversation about the specific failures they had and what we might be able to do to make things better. So definitely we'll be following up with them, but I don't want to show the raw results because of those emails. What I'll do is take the results and put together a deck and we can go over the highlights at another time. And the other item then for that is we're going to start talking about to the release, SIG release and the release team about adding the PRR survey as part of the requirements for KEPs to be accepted into the release, similar to how we have graduation criteria and test plan. It's pretty lightweight to answer these questions, so I don't think it will be too much of a burden. Any questions on that? All right, Jordan, you're up.
So there are two primary conversations we've been having in code organization subgroup. One is around a couple particular dependencies that need some untangling. So that's C advisor and HCS shim. The reasons they need untangling are different, but those conversations are ongoing. For C advisor, we're trying to figure out ways to avoid pulling in container runtime and storage integrations that we don't currently pull in. For HCS shim, there's a transitive recursive dependency and a dependency on the CRI API. So we're trying to figure out ways to give that component what it needs and avoid entangling ourselves. So that was one set of conversations we had over the past couple of weeks. The other set is trying to think through how we measure the health of our code base, and specifically around dependency graph stuff as we're pulling in updates, and sometimes those updates pull in additional transitive dependencies. We have, in the past, it's kind of been, you squint at a proposed change and say, oh, this looks better or worse or way better. And it was sort of a gut feel type thing. And so we're trying to think of ways to measure what we have so we can track it over time and actually understand if a particular change is going to make things way worse. So we we don't do that. Some of those details are in the code organization agenda and notes. And those link out to some additional docs for those specific issues. And that was it.
All right, thank you, Jordan. Any questions on any of that from anybody?
God bless you for doing that hard work. I'm watching, and every time I jump on one that I dread reviewing, there's Jordan already there.
Oh. What was that? Somebody have something to say? Okay. All right. That's really it. Unless people have other issues, we can have open discussion. There was nothing else on the agenda other than those readouts. All right. Well,
sorry, I'll stop. Hold on, quick one.
Tim,
Sorry.
no, never quick.
So I sent this week a PR to update the KEP and change a little bit of the way the KEP process works in response to a group of folks who've been trying to review KEPs, John included. So I sent out the obvious parts of that, the parts that weren't contentious on the discussion. And I was about to say Caleb, Stephen Augustus had pointed out that he had a KEP that actually covered half of it already. So we merged those two. And if people are interested in reviewing KEPs and the structure around KEPs, please go take a look at that PR.
Yeah, and I think that over time we'd like to evolve that so that we can, we can track. We have a number of things that we're tying to like feature promotion, and I think right now it's kind of all independently, tooled, and it would be nice to have a way, something to tie them all together, and if the KEP can serve that. This allows some more structured metadata and some things like that that might hopefully make that more feasible. So. All right, if that's it, going once. Okay, we get back 49 minutes.
Nice.
All right, thank you, everybody.